about his seeming unseriousness, and they complained about it. It's trending number 1 on Twitter.
Yes.
Helen, what are people saying about the Honorable Katie Amond on Twitter? It's trending number 1.
He is trending number 1. So this morning, actually, he's in luck because in the last sort of 25 minutes or so, he's now moved on to number 2. but for the most part of yesterday and this morning, he was trending number 1. And some of the comments that have come through revolve around, of course, the vetting and especially the youth, bringing or recalling some of the comments he's made. Exactly, Coconut Head. He made comments concerning the youth and our involvement in national matters. And you recall, to put it into context, at the time he made those comments, it was off the back of the booing of the president at the Global Citizen Concert. And that's where those comments came from. Of course, I believe at some point in the vetting that came up where he said that as far as leadership and governance is concerned, young people cannot do it alone. This is a collaborative effort between the youth and adults. Of course, it's now in a more sanitized version. At the time he made those comments, that was not
unpalatable.
Unparliamentary, absolutely. So he finds himself in the trend off the back of the vetting and the comments.
Here's Kwame Agboja, MP for Adaklu, also the Minority Chief Whip, asking Mr. K.T. Hammond, MP for Adansiasqua, that particular question. Listen.
Do you still believe that the youth, the curvature of the youth in this country is such that they cannot have the ability to make good judgment on government policies? I.e., you were quoted of saying that some youth have coconut head and don't have the ability to make a point or criticize government. Do you still believe in that?
No, but that's not even what I said. That's not. You get this in proper perspective. That's not what I said. We've all been youth before. When I joined the Kufuor government, I was the youngest, even though at 40. I was the youngest, though a deputy minister. All of them, I was the youngest. So can I?
That's quite an old young person, to be honest. 40 is quite old.
But that's the point I'm making. I was. But we've been young before. So it's not for anybody to try and cascade the youth unreasonably. What I have been saying is this, and let's get it right. The youth must all the reasons to say what they want to say. They have the right, the entitlement to participate in the government of the country. What I said was that there was a limit to how these matters are to be handled. There has been this whole business, and if you recall, I think the communist revolution also, what it was that when we come to government, the first thing we do, all the lawyers, we chain them together and then dump them under the sea. We kill all of them. It's been one of the communist manifesto sort of thing. My argument is that you don't rule a country without the adults. I maintain it. The youth alone cannot run a country. It's not possible. There can't be a mixture of the youth and my friends, my nephews, Abrokwa, and those all the young ones who have been in government, Ponkroma and others, they are in government. It's never been my argument that they cannot have a say in the run of the country. I said they should be tamed, they should be temperate in the kind of things that they say, and the suggestion that every adult is useless. You look at me, you think I'm useless?
I believe you are useless.
Hey. Ghana. William, do you feel old or young?
Well, I'm blessed. I'm in the middle.
And highly favored.
So when the youth are going, I'm with them. When the elderly are going, I'm there.
Right.
But I don't look like an old man, though.
We didn't say you look like an old man.
Because that's what your eyes were saying. Sometimes you don't only speak. You were looking at my beard and talking. You think I just talk? Sometimes you don't only talk with your mouth.
I can't look.
70% of communication is non-verbal.
Are you suggesting I can't look at your face?
But I wearing spectacles, then I can't see your eyes.
I can't look at your face now and talk.
When
William,
you see somebody dancing and you are not hearing the music, you think it's insane.
Please, one more time for us, William.
When you see somebody dancing,
he may have an earpiece.
When you see somebody dancing and you don't hear the music, you think it's insane.
But where could the music be coming from?
Wherever.
Figurehead, no, Penia, Obi can this year, executive presidency. Or money in a penny or that, no. Anna or buy one can be and your political platforms who can put or buy. Anna or say, oh, this is the idea, and if now we are so be about, oh, I would I'm not here, no, Mabuna, my year, Mona, Debbie, I ever catch the Munabutre. And Penfonio, my one, Debbie America, as somebody as here for Campa, yeah, say, yeah, Quaco, Abra. Yankase ye go hu mono na mugo na muti aye eze gube na mugo no nyamo ye se ye go hu mu ye se ye kwa go hu abrewa no eye opani ya wanyina nyini ya bibi wodi tiri ye kwa go hu no mo so mpedifo wo kuro mu nyina na mo de on their policies nti now president mani ya political importance bi aye ya anya political rally anya hwe na anya munya botre mu hia na mo ye mo no ma na mo maye mu mpedifo. Now I understand policy. That's what I do. Be at them. Democracy now also be. Now it's been so yeah. I not possible say Ben Jayman. My yet number one. One chance yet. My dear, my DJ, my boy, I'm on and from as any other.
Oh, straight William.
But is he? But he said he spoke in contest. Maybe because I don't know. He said if he says BBNE Tsuma, he said he spoke in contest,
right.
And that the going to see the elderly woman means that they know more,
right?
So maybe in terms of comparing experience, he can confidently say that we are not there yet,
right?
And you see, it is a wise man who admits that he knows nothing. So if he tells me that I know nothing, I will accept it. It gives you an opportunity to learn. I think, is it Plato or Socrates? One of them said that it is the wise person who admits
that he knows
not. So for me, if he tells me that I don't know anything, I'll take it like that and learn something.
But the way he said it.
But you see, I'm coming to that.
Not taking kind.
I'm coming to that. You see, when somebody is communicating, you take the totality of the message, the messenger, and put everything together. Listen to him. I see some jests. That's how he is. If somebody else tells me that I'm blockheaded, the way I'll take it will be different from if he tells, because the way he will even say it, he always has some laughter either above or beneath the statement that he makes.
Right.
So,
but Katie, when you take the youth of the country and you suggest that they have coconut heads, they have left their beards, they cannot do it. And again, he wants us to put it in context.
That's something that
the context here is that he's asking us to usually would go to the old woman in the room. Those old men and old women, they don't speak like he spoke.
That's what I'm saying. That he has come
those out. Old men. He's not correcting what he said.
No, I'm saying that we all know Katie. We know him. Even at vetting, when he was chairing the censure moves and all that. That is Katie Hammond speaking.
Well, but we see is that what we need at this point? Because there's already pent up anger among the youth. They can find food to eat. Transport, rent, all of those ones. This morning, some teachers are picketing at the ministry's area. NABCO people are angry. National service people have not been paid since November, those working with the government institutions. So when you come up, and
that's what I'm saying. That
when you come up and say things
Katie
like that,
Hammond, Honorable Katie Hammond, for me and for many others, it's not somebody who will speak to me like this and I'll get angry.
But you are not everybody.
No. We are discussing the man.
The people who are angry,
I'm saying
the people who are angry, who are on Twitter saying
Katie
all manner
Hammond
of unprintables about him, is a reflection of how many people didn't take his comments lightly.
That's what I'm saying. He has carved a certain image for himself.
But is that image what we want?
Because
now he's
all necessary.
Because now now he just doesn't represent the people of Adansia Sokwa as a member of parliament. Now if he gets through, he's going to be our minister for trade. He's going to be interacting with people from across the border and from other countries, bilateral pacts and all of that. Is that a kind of image and persona and individual we want in very serious meetings? South Africa Continental Free Trade Area, you're doing big boy trade, gold for oil. He will be in the. Is that a kind of demeanor we want in those meetings?
Is Katie Hammond unnecessarily villainized for having a jovial disposition? And I understand that. Yes, we are in serious times, but we're all very different. We're all very different people.
Jerry Rollins had a jovial side, but he knew when. The late Corey Kwajika, you can mention him. He had a jovial side, but he knew when. It does appear that Mr. Katie Hammond doesn't know when.
Well,
I have serious business. And yesterday, if you monitor the vetting, at some point, the matter came up, but people told him, look, you have to stop joking and answer our questions. Because at some point, he didn't. And right from that point, when he was told that you have to stop joking and answer the questions, you could clearly see that
there was a shift.
He shifted. So we must be able to tell, and like I said this morning on Johnny's Bite, when people come to serve us, we must make them know their place, that they are in servitude to us, and that they are supposed to serve our interests first of all. The interest will run off them as well, but they're supposed to be looking at us first of all as masters. It doesn't appear like somebody who
I understand you perfectly, but I'm also trying to understand Katie Hammond. This is a gentleman who's been a lawyer before.
Right.
He's still a lawyer. He's still a lawyer.
Yeah.
He's gone to his people, how many times? He's always won the elections.
Yeah. Right.
He's come into governance, or even like government, President Kufuor's government. He's been a deputy minister. He's in Nana Kufuor's government. Nana Kufuor has nominated him for trade minister.
Right.
So we can't write him off as somebody who has nothing.
I'm not writing him off.
I'm saying that we can't write him off as somebody who has nothing to offer. But what we have an issue with is his jovial disposition. Sometimes he carries it too far.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that in every mix of human beings, you find people like that.
Yeah.
So for me, that is not really a problem.
The question I'm asking is that what we need now? And you heard when I spoke with lawyer Pierre Kobi, who has also worked within that space before, has been boss of the Free Zones Authority now, then Free Zones Board. So within that space, he knows how to play. Murtala Mohammed is MP for Tamale Central. He's been a former deputy trade minister before. Titus Glover, a former deputy minister for trade. So on that day when we interviewed them, we had 3 trade people.
Yeah.
Lawyer Pierre Kobi says we should pray for them. Him and Stika.
Yeah.
Dr. Mwa, we should pray for them. Murtala said there are 2 complex people going to the same ministry. Lawyer Pierre Kobi again said that he doesn't know what they can do within the 2 years because the time perhaps is too short.
Yeah.
Titus Glover wished them well. It tells you that we are at a certain point where we need to turn things around. For example, you have the Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat here. What percentage of our budget, particularly agric, because it's big in Africa, tomatoes, onion from all over the place, what percentage of our budget are we, for example, pushing into that corner? And mind you, Katie Hammond is not a trades person. Stika is a finance person.
That's right.
So when they go there, and with that dismissive attitude that he has, like even in Parliament, even though their colleagues, this is my nephew, he's my niece, he's my child, that dismissive thing, tries to shut people down even at the committee level. He's taking that attitude, which we have not properly paid attention to the ministry, which is very critical, even more than the finance ministry, if you ask me. Is that what we need at this time?
Johnny, listening to you, and you mentioned the comments by Honorable Pierre Kobi, Honorable Murtala, and Titus Glover. And I think what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that you didn't hear from those 3 individuals something that will instill confidence in you.
Yes.
Let me juxtapose this very quickly. For example, with the NDC reshuffling in Parliament, when it came to, for example, Haruna Idrisu, there was no doubt about it. Across the board, the issue was not about competence or courage or vivaciousness or whatever it is. It was clear that he had the vote of confidence from both sides.
Right.
But I think what you're saying is in this conversation, it's not as though we're even hearing that
is not there.
It's a silent vote of no confidence. Nobody's really saying it, but they are kind of saying it that, well, let's see what happens. Maybe he can be up to task. As at yet, I've not heard any convincing arguments from either side. Well, I don't expect it from one side. But
77 people. I mean, and even this is even from his party as well.
Right.
And then it's if the opposition does it or says it that we don't want him,
we get that.
You can get. But when elements from within the party, and then it comes to the question: did the president consult before choosing Mr. K.T. Hammond, or is the situation so bad that nobody wants to take the job? And K.T. Hammond is, okay, let's give him a try. Let's put something there to represent something. Because I'm asking these questions again. I mean, the ports and all those things will come under him. All of those critical areas where we rake in revenue, trade and industry. We've been talking about inflation and talking about how we have not industrialized enough, and which is why we spend so much to import whatever we consume, and which is what is putting the weight on our currency. So trade and industry. We often talk about trade, but the industrialization drive is also his job. Never mind that Mr. Akufo-Addo, President Akufo-Addo confused that as a bit with Special Initiatives Ministry and then had to withdraw it. But that is the job of the Ministry of Trade and Industry. So a question of competence, a question of cool head, a question of commitment, and a question of discipline comes to play here. Okay. Because we are in the mud, whether we like it or not.
Okay, so Johnny,
what is he bringing to the table?
That's the question we have to answer.
And I didn't see that at the vetting yesterday.
What I'm saying is that I give the preamble that the gentleman has worked for a long time as a lawyer, as a prosecutor, wherever, was in the UK. He's come to be a deputy minister. What we see is what is on the table today. I'm sure is trending because of his jovial disposition. But his competence, his work ethics, his efficiency on the job, do we have reason to say he's not efficient? I don't have reason.
I agree with you. I don't have reason.
Do we have reason to say he's incompetent?
I don't have reason. Can I please finish that one? Did you hear that at the vetting?
No, you see, sometimes you said doing Johnny's bite. That is not necessarily what you. Some people go to interviews and they display.
Right.
They will convince you. They will be very focused. They will answer all the questions. You give them the job. They go and sleep. So I'm saying to you that the gentleman has come from some point in his life and he's here. Along the line, all the individuals that he's worked with, in terms of the British government as a lawyer, he got the job. In terms of President Kufuor, he got a job. President Akufo-Addo is going to give him a job. He's in parliament. His people are always giving him the nod to go into parliament. So on that score, and scientifically, I can say that he has something that maybe you and I are not seeing. But on the side of he being serious or not, somebody being jovial or
William, does he do himself a disservice? Does he do himself a disservice by continuously
presenting
that part of his personality?
That's a disservice. But I'm saying that Johnny has made the point that he has a role to play in our development.
Right.
That's right.
Trade Ministry, Industry Plus. Is he going to be able to deliver? Am I going to just judge him because he's overly jovial?
No, I'm not. That's not what I'm asking myself. Because William, in this country, you cannot be an attorney general if you are not a lawyer.
Of course, that's by the constitution.
In this country, you cannot be a finance minister, an economic planning minister, if you don't have a background in accounting, finance, economics.
Well, that one I'm not sure. It's not the only one I know is
let's go. It's not about.
No, but if you say you cannot, then there's a law, there's a rule that bars you. If you say you cannot, but you may not be.
William,
if you say you cannot, that one is clear in the
let's start from Dr. Nkrumah.
That one,
and drill down to Akufo-Addo.
Let's say President will inform that this is
so you cannot say
criteria that you have.
But I'm saying that there's no law. I agree.
Yes.
But I'm saying that let's start from Nkrumah, drill down to Akufo-Addo, and tell me which of our finance ministers did not have a background.
Granted,
that's fair.
But I would say that you may not.
Okay,
I wouldn't say
may not. You're looking at legalese.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, these are the two areas that we have always kept what I call letting carpenters do the work of carpenters. When it comes to trade, it comes to education, it comes to energy, it comes to other ministries. We allow masons to do the work of carpenters most of the time.
But it's been said that when it comes to ministerial jobs, you don't necessarily have to be a professional in that space.
Well, we have seen how...
We've seen soldiers who've run agric. But you and I were discussing this morning off the mic.
But we have seen...
the best agric ministers we've had in this country
are all soldiers. Yes.
Commodore Sivo Bimpe was there. Banasco was there. Soldiers.
But
they never touched the hole. They never touched tractor. They never had farms. But when they came, they used the military war tactics to get them
William, you and I are barracks boys, and we know how soldiers.
Was it prison barracks?
I'm coming. I'm saying it doesn't matter.
I'm just asking,
but
for clarity.
there is always a sense of discipline,
of course,
that is instilled in the barracks.
Sharp.
So if you give a uniformed man a job to do, whether he has done it before or doesn't, he goes there, he puts the Ojingma tactics to play. Sharp. And he delivers. So you can't take that away from our soldiers, and you can connect that to their performance at their great ministry. I'm saying that in this country, and so far we have seen, look at how Kweku Agyeman has misconducted himself as health minister, because he doesn't have the technical know-how in the area. So he can be in a room full of doctors and medical professionals, throwing terminologies and the jargons around. And then eventually they will leave the decision for him to take. If he doesn't understand the ABC of what he's doing, we have seen him do it in so many times to a point where he even told us that he was not thinking when he took the decision. He has advisors. He has doctors around him. He had procurement people. Yet he took an ill-timed decision. So back to K.T. Hammond. What specifically is his competence as the leader of the ministry for trade and industry in the area of trade? You can't take his law from him. You can't take his practice and prosecutorial, qualities and whatever excellence he has from him. He is coming to the place not as a lawyer, but as a trade minister. In that corner, he would require trade ministerial skills to know that if the chief director comes to tell him A, B, or C, he will quickly know that either he's been set up to fail or he's been led down the wrong path. In the MPP party, is Mr. K.T. Hammond the best man for the ministerial job of trade and industry? That is what the streets are asking this question.
Asking this question.
No, I'm saying that the streets are asking this question.
What is he expected to do? Now, if you're able to, roll out those specific rules,
he's supposed to lead the ministry.
No, lead how? The how is important for me.
But don't we know what ministers do?
No, you are saying that he's going to.
William, don't you know what ministers do?
Let's ask the questions and answer them. I'm saying that he's going to lead.
Right.
How? Is he going to enter into contracts with governments, with the private enterprises?
Right.
These are the works of lawyers. WTO is lawyers have a big role to. If you go to law school, you even do international trade law and all.
There's no debate about that.
So I'm saying that the competencies that you're asking, we have to unpack them and see whether the man has a skill to lead. Why we say he's going to lead? That's broad.
So what you're saying then is that then we don't actually need the minister, because there are people already doing the work.
No, I'm saying that
we don't need the minister.
Asking them.
But what you're saying, if what you're saying is anything to go by, then we actually don't need a minister.
No, you don't understand
because
that.
there are lawyers there who will be looking at the contracts. So what is the minister going to do? There are people there who are going to be directing in terms of ruling our policy. So what is he going to do?
Well, actually, that's why the NDC is saying that, in fact, all of this is unnecessary. And we made the point this morning.
What is he going there to do?
The point this morning.
Going to lead.
Yes.
What is he going to lead?
But I'm saying that is the job. The job, it is there. Somebody
goes to the trade ministry. What must he have to get to the trade ministry? Must he be a business person? If you say that, then we'll interrogate that.
But that is why I started and gave you the example.
Who is fit to lead the trade ministry?
I'm not the appointing authority. That's why I asked the question. I said
I'm saying that because he's a lawyer, he's fit.
No.
Because the whole business of trading has contract underlying that.
But you see, William, that's why I started with Apia Kubi, Mutala, and Titus Glover angle.
Yes.
Of they not expressing confidence.
Apia Kubi mentioned the time. He said it was short. So let's play
for him. That is for him.
And Mutala said his deputy was a complex person. Right. He's also a complex person. So let's pray for them.
Right.
This man was making. So it wasn't about his competence. They never put his competence on it. I was here.
And I think that is the problem, because they didn't put that competence forward. I think that speaks volumes.
But you see,
they didn't question his competence.
They didn't act.
William, they didn't actually say anything about his competence on that day.
Which I think is worrying.
Which is worrying, because the ministry requires competence at this time.
Because
if you listen to Apia Kubi,
the prayer that they called for the gentleman was not because he was deficient in competence. Right. It was because his deputy was complex according to them. And he was also a complex individual.
That was not a clarion call from all of them. It was Mutala's comment.
Yes.
Now, the point Helen is raising, which I've raised, is that if I know William Esedu as a news person, and I'm having a conversation about somebody filling a managing news editor role, the first things I will talk about is not about his temperament and yada yada. I will talk about your 17 or 19 years of
25.
practice, 25 years of practice in the press. And then I'll talk about where you have worked, how you have transformed, whatever it is, how you wake up to edit, how you supervise supers and all of that. That's what I'll talk about first.
And how you are the man for the job.
And then I will later come and talk about your temperament and whether you are jovial or not. On that day, and on Twitter today, the three people here and what you have heard from other people on the sidelines, nobody is talking about his competence going to the trade ministry.
It's not in question.
And that should be our
It's
worry.
not in question. They're not talking about it because it's not in question. They're talking about his temperament.
Is it
also his temperament? Is it jovial attitude?
William, is it also because
Is
it also because
that's not why it's
William,
more up for discussion.
William, is it also because you can say that, but
Yes.
that is also because there is nothing to talk about him in competence per trade and industry?
Nothing to question.
No.
Yes.
Because it's
So we
nothing.
are questioning the man's over joviality. There's any word like
William,
that.
you as a student of law, right, knows that you can't put something on nothing. Correct?
You can't give what you don't have.
Thank you. So if there is nothing to talk about, and which is why people are not talking about it, you cannot then conclude that nobody is questioning
that it was an issue. So both of us are right on that score.
Thank you. So I'm saying that.
So let's move.
Yes, but I'm saying.
I agree with you that he's
Yes,
over jovial.
yes,
but I'm saying that I
You say
will
over
not.
jovial?
I will not question his competence.
So I am saying that you will not question his competence. But Helen and I have raised also a point.
Are you questioning his competence?
I have not said that.
I'm curious
Those are your
about
words.
I am openly saying I'm not questioning his competence.
Fair.
Come.
Those are yours.
I'm questioning it.
Johnny,
what?
come on his competence.
In terms of trade and industry, I don't see the competence.
Okay.
What is he bringing to the table in terms of experience for trade and industry? I've asked a question about attorney generalship. I've asked a question about finance ministry. I've asked a question in terms of trade and industry. What is Honorable Katie Hammond bringing to the table at this crucial moment?
And
Alan Tremantin's competence within the trade space is not in doubt. He's been trade minister since Kufuor's era.
Oh yeah, he worked, I think, with WTO.
Dan Boche's competence in local governance with Obi Amwa is not in doubt. So when you are bringing Katie Hammond to the fore, you must also bring, I mean, you honestly think that party communicators and government communicators wouldn't have trumpeted his competence within the trade and industry if there was any? We would able to trade here soon, you know. What didn't we hear about Chelsea, Dubai, and Kenoforiata, and Yale, Harvard, and you can't combine it. No, I'm saying that. I'm saying that's why you change. Only a fool doesn't change his mind. That's why you will change.
When they trumpeted, what did we get?
No, but I'm saying that that's why their own people were asking for them to
but
go.
they trumpeted.
Yes, no, but you can't.
Or have they learned their lesson that these days let's be measured in what we promise and overpromise and oversell?
The same way William is busy about Katie Hammond's law practice, blah blah blah. It's the same way the people were interested in Kenoforiata's Yale and Harvard investment banker. So as for that one, it's documented. You can't take that away from them. But I'm saying that at this crucial point in our national life, where we require industrialization at the speed of light, to be able to turn the fortunes of this country around and to trade sensibly so that we can make money rapidly to turn our fortunes around, is Mr. Katie Hammond the best pair of hands to hand over the trade ministry to? That's my question.
Well, that question, I think, can be answered, first of all, by the president who selected him. And I sitting here, I would say, I will give him the benefit of the doubt, because the ministry, when you get there, you do not have to be a player in that sector to be able to succeed. That's what I have known. No, because I've given you examples. I'm saying that we've had agri ministers who were soldiers. We've had people in other spaces who were not. Look, Mr. Osafo was a banker for a long time.
Right.
He was our sports minister. He had nothing to do with sports. Are we saying that because he was a banker?
He was a sports minister for how long?
It doesn't matter.
It matters.
He was nominated for sports.
And what was his achievement?
So I'm saying that.
And what was his achievement?
That is something for us to discuss.
No, so let's discuss it now. Why are you moving away from it?
Picking him, he doesn't have to be a player in that sector before you pick him.
I disagree.
But how can you say
Carpenters, William.
No,
William.
well, that one. Let's agree to disagree
William,
and move on. Because when it comes to ministers,
William,
I have said that it is not always players in that space who succeed.
William, will you pick somebody who is not a news person to manage your media house or a newsroom for you?
Of course, if you say media house, yes.
No. Newsroom. Drill it down to newsroom. Would you pick somebody who's not a news person to manage your newsroom?
No, but you see...
Let's hear your no properly.
No, it is no. Because you see, when you say media house, you don't...
No, I didn't say media house.
You started by saying media house before you came to newsroom.
No, I'm saying... No. I said newsroom, yes.
Newsroom, you need somebody
and why would you do that?
Because it is a very specialized area, but the ministry is not a specialized area.
And you think trade is not a specialized area?
No. But you see, when you are talking about agric, for instance, we sit here and we think that agric is just agric. Agric, you have to be able to know how the roads ministry plays a role in agric.
But let me finish.
The trade ministry plays a role, health ministry plays a role,
right.
Everything plays a role in agric ministry.
Right.
So when you go there and your ability to work with people, your ability to speak well, lead and things, you can be able to bring all this ministry to bear in the development of agric. So agric is not some place that you need an agricultural person to lead. That's the point. Because look,
who said that?
Mistake in saying that.
Who said that?
No, I'm giving you an example.
Who said that?
If you need agric to succeed, you need the roads ministry to understand that we need good roads.
There's no debate about that.
Then you also need Food and Drugs Authority, which comes under Ministry of Health. So you need the health ministry to agree to what the minister of agric is doing.
Right.
You need energy minister to agree because you need industrialization. You have to turn your fresh produce into so and so agric minister. So agric minister does not necessarily have to be someone who is good in agric only, by his ability to connect with all people in other areas to agree to the fact that we all need so and so to make things move.
So somebody who has an affable character, right?
Yes, not leadership. It's not affable.
Yes, but
only.
When I said they are going to lead, you have to be affable.
I have proven to you right now.
I think we said Katie Hammond is very affable.
That's what he said.
No, we've agreed. Is that not what they say? He's affable.
Right now that you don't need
dismissive.
When you want agree, when you need health to succeed, you don't just need somebody who is good in health. You need other things.
That is not in debate.
Exactly. So
Cocoa roads and all of those.
If the father says the Ministry of Agric, does not mean that it should only be concentrating on food production.
Why do we?
That's why maybe say food and agric.
Why do we?
Ministry of Food.
Why
when
do
you talk agric, you just think food.
Why do we?
No.
And that's the same question I'm raising. When we talk trade, it's trade and industry.
Plus more.
So far.
Plus more.
Relax. So
far. If you talk about trade,
so
it's
far,
not just trade and
William,
industry. Plus more.
William, so far you have mounted a stiff defense for Katie Hammond.
No,
but you have not told me what his competence in trade and industry.
He does not have to be competent in trade and industry alone to succeed in the ministry. Don't you understand what I'm saying? I'm saying
that's what William is saying.
Yes, he does not need to be competent only in trade and industry. He needs to be competent in leadership. Leadership entails bringing people.
And I'm saying to you that we have seen the likes of Ajima Menu, right? Among doctors and medical professionals, he had all the advice. When it came to him, and the minister always is the one that takes the decision because the buck stops with him. When it came to him in the Sputnik V matter, he had procurement officers, he had lawyers, he had doctors, he had consultants, he had all those people at his disposal. He came to tell us on national TV, because he's not a health person, that he took the decision, which is a contractual matter, which the ministry's lawyer should have been aware of. That
but
he
procurement is not a health matter.
I'm coming.
Procurement is not a health matter.
But see, you are shooting yourself in the foot.
No, I'm telling you that that also confirms my point. Being the Minister of Health means that you should also know procurement.
Can I? So now you are saying, but then you say the minister does not have to do the work all by himself.
I haven't said that. I said that the minister doesn't only have to know about health.
Wait, so the minister in this particular
procurement is not health.
There's a classic example. Procurement relatable to health.
Exactly.
The man took a decision to go on a contract.
Was that a health decision or procurement decision?
On his own. It was a health decision because the vaccines were coming to impact our health.
Exactly.
So you can say that it's a health issue and a legal issue. Did he not have legal advisors and consultants? He did, like you have in every ministry. When he was left on his own to take that decision, he goofed. And he came to confess on TV.
That is one man. He goofed.
Well,
but I'm
saying that based on that, should we not be looking at Mr. Katie Hammond and Stephen Amoah all over again as we take them to a ministry as critical as trade and industry in these times particularly? And I raised two questions. In these times And at this point,
when you ask the questions and I'm answering, I'm packing the points and making the issue come clear. I'm telling everybody who is listening to me that somebody going to a Greek ministry, finance ministry, does not necessarily have to concentrate on finance, because the ministry will not succeed just by concentrating on finance. The ministry...
Are you saying that they are not specialized areas?
No, the ministry is not specialized. Even if it will succeed based on the components that you bring on board from other ministries, and that one goes beyond being a finance person. That's clear.
So we don't need a trade person to manage our trade ministry.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
You need somebody who is competent in management and leadership.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
We'll let carpenters do the work of basis.
That is your interpretation of what you have said.
I was going to give us a few thoughts, a few broader thoughts. Of course, William and Johnny have their positions, and we can always agree to disagree. But some of your thoughts here on Katie Hammond's vetting. Let's gauge the temperature.
Right.
A lot of it was centered around his personality. Maverick says, wait. Apu. Oh, goodness me. Abdullah Jawood says, they are really worrying my man. Kobe Mensgold says, we play too much. What in God's name is this interview? Some of this I can't really
you should not
say.
read. You should not read them at all.
So Nanajwa says, of all the level-headed people in the party, why Katie Hammond? And she has gone ahead to ask the president to ask. Mr. Brooks says, wow, look. Looney Prince says, we need serious people to govern this country. Wasi, somebody says, Alfred Mensah says, this is an embarrassment to Ghana, and so on and so forth. Sadly, we don't have too many thoughts on competence.
Haley Selassie says, patriotic voices in God. So regards to Honorable Alan Kujicham, I think the next president, the NDC party is trying all their possible best to sabotage the good works and leadership of His Excellency Nana Akufo Danko Akufo-Addo and the NPP government. But who job bless no one can. Still, NPP government will work extra harder, break the 8 and lead Ghana into another level of developmental projects. Uriah Tete said, for me, first things first, and the kind of posture Katie Hammond puts out during his vetting yesterday tells me there's nothing serious coming from his when giving the nod. The youth and majority of a population, and if this is his stand about the youth, then how can he work with them to ensure that brilliant ideas are harvested and nurtured to see Ghana move faster than it's doing? It's a shame to see people like Mr. Hammond who understand communication better as a former minister. Musa Abator says, Honorable Katie Hammond was full of indiscipline. Even when Honorable Afenyo Makin was helping him with leading questions, he was confused. I would be surprised if drill ship merchant sailed through, because instead of answering questions, he was rather attacking and accusing opposition, especially on the drill ship matter. So these are the men MPP is boasting about. They are totally clueless. God save Ghana. Timothy Williams says, how many trained Ghanaian journalists till date have achieved Comrade Dumas professional level? Well, Kwesi Sapon is there.
Dumas was even not a journalist.
Comrade Dumas was even not a journalist. Yes. But
you didn't go to journalism school. You are not a journalist, but you are displaying.
You can.
But it's unfortunate. I agree with all that they are talking about the man's overjoviality.
Right. Yes.
But the competence, you should also go there.
I am annoyed that the issue of joviality has now overshadowed. It's making it difficult to unpack the issues.
Well, now who goes on? Wahine Akwesi Champon Kwachi says the man Akoto is the best person to break the 8 for MPP with this massive achievement at the Greek ministry when he was a minister. Shows that he can do it when given the opportunity. Honorable Dr. Akoto Friye has no match when it comes to the presidential candidates vying to become the flag bearer of the MPP. Agbesi Basil says, with Katie Hammond is Shasha that we are going to place. Well, Emmanuel Ajima says, God should help us as a country. That's what it is. And these are the sentiments of young people on Facebook. William says we should not.
Yesterday at the program, this hot issue that we are discussing came up. And one man solved it by saying that a lot of the countries that are doing well in Agric today, the whole thing is led by their presidents, who are just not Agric people. So it's the drive, the leadership that you give, and that's how I see a minister behaving. Because And that's why I got to understand for the first time that agric ministry is not just about agric. The man was saying, look, if you have a minister who doesn't see the need for his association with the roads ministry, health ministry, and he will fail. Because as soon as you get that picture, you go to the office with all these ministries in mind, so that you call your colleague minister and says, Charlie, the road, cocoa roads, blah, blah, blah. But it is the president who has the authority to be able to drive all these ministers. Because if I call Johnny can decide not to come or not. But if Auntie B calls Johnny, so if Auntie B is leading a charge, so that's what they are calling on the leadership of the country in respect of the president to lead the agric charge. And the man made a point that if we had listened to...
But is the president not the one leading everything already? But because the chief of staff who is at the president's office supervises every minister, right? They give weekly reports, sometimes daily report, monthly reports. So we already have the structures. We are not applying the principles that we have set for ourselves. Because ministers are called to cabinet meeting. Agric is a cabinet position. Trade is a cabinet position. Security is a cabinet position. Health is a cabinet position. Education is a cabinet position. Gender is a cabinet position. Finance is a cabinet position.
But operationally,
so when they sit at the table and the president has weekly cabinet meetings, he's hearing the daily stuff. So the actions must be directed from there. Do they direct it? Because he's already leading. What he's asking for he's already leading.
The clarity came when the issue of free SHS came. Johnny is right in all that he has said. But the clarity came when the free SHS... You see the way we have a Minister of Education. But when it comes to free SHS, we see the position and the discussion.
You have a free SHS secretariat, Accra.
No, but you see... Exactly. But you see, as soon as you mention free, see the way President Kufuor behaves. So that's what they are expecting.
Because that's the only legacy the president has, actually.
You see, so that's what we expect.
So he can make agric his legacy.
So if agric, he had led agric like that, wouldn't have gone to IMF. Because a lot of the exchange rate issues that we have is because of the importation. And they mentioned maize, rice, and poultry.
But the president thinks that we vilified his agric minister who was underperforming. So how does he come to lead an agric agenda?
Because he didn't lead when he came to agric. And the man was clear that they told policymakers 5 years ago that if you don't pay attention to agric, we'll go back to IMF.
We'll go for a break now. On return, there's more here on on 3FM Sunrise 92.7. It is 8:24. See you shortly.
Hey, are you worried about your parties, weddings, hangouts, on what drink to enjoy for the celebration? Or you're worried about how to celebrate your friends and family?